Good evening. And for speech 285, for my persuasive speech, I will be talking about why we should not raise the driving age. Now, there are pros and cons to raising the driving age, and I'm going to go over a few statistics and some visual presentations of graphs and also different groups that are pro and against raising the driving age. For instance, well, let's go through some reasons why someone might want to raise the driving age, right? One is less fatalities, less injuries. Brains of teenagers aren't fully developed yet. Raising the driving age may lead to lower car insurance premiums, fewer cars would be on the road, and less pollution. Those are just a couple brief pros for raising the driving age. And some groups that support raising the driving age is AAA Mid Atlantic expressed support for a higher driving age, saying that polls have shown that many peoples in Maryland back the idea. And here's also some statistics. If we could see here, we see here that fatalities is 1,432 from range 16 to 17, and it gets lower as you get older. To 700 there for 18 and 19, goes down to 572, then 526 it looks like, 328, and so on and so on. So all of these statistics might actually seem damaging to my point of view of why we should not raise the driving age. However, I have some very important stats and just things to consider for reasons why we should not raise the driving age. Raising the driving age, number one, is going to lead to mobility problems for the workforce. Many teenagers have held positions of essential workers and needs, especially during COVID. And imagine if people 16 to 17 couldn't drive to get to work. A lot of fast food places probably would have been closed, and a lot of other part-time jobs that teenagers get would probably not exist because they can't get to work. And there's a lot of towns that don't have accurate public transportation. So kids need to actually be able to drive to work. And one other thing that was a pro was that it would lead to less cars on the road. I don't really agree with that because there's still Uber, Lyft, and a host of other taxi companies that teens would have to utilize in order to get to work. And that would actually put more cars on the road instead of just being able to just drive to and from to work. Then you have an increase of drivers on the road because of increased demand, and they're just driving around waiting to get picked up because there's increased demand on the road. So it doesn't really lessen the amount of cars. They're still going to have to order a car to get on the road to get to where they're going. Raising the driving age and not have a true impact. Parents will have to assist in their kids more. Yeah, parents will have to take kids to work. So, parents already do too much with daycare, and once kids get to the age where they're pretty much self-sufficient, they're not gonna want to drive their kids back and forth to work, even though it may be a necessity. That's and also increasing the driving age takes away a lot of freedom from young people. Being able to drive, I know myself, getting my driver's license at 16 was a blessing. It allowed me to go to work. It allowed me to drive to school. It allowed me. I had an internship in Richmond Department of Taxation doing Oracle computer programming, and it allowed me to go to class and then also go up to school to go up to the Department of Taxation to work on my even days. So if I wasn't able to drive, I wouldn't have been able to have the opportunity to have an internship and further my education. So there's a lot of opportunities out there for teenagers, and being able to drive is just super important. Let me see here. There are So also let's dive back into what teens actually do these days after school. Social events. Let me see here. Extracurricular activities, and may not be readily available until they turn 18. And again, a lot of towns don't have a lot of public transportation. It delays a lot of valuable learning experience. As I was going through with my internship, the best way to learn how to do something is to do it. And even though they have higher crash rates, 16 to 17-year-olds, it's just because they're new and lacking experience, period. It doesn't mean that raising it is going to lower fatalities, because when you're 18, you're still going to be new driving, and you're still going to have those experiences to learn and work through. It's just a learn and error process, and the only way you're going to learn to be a better driver is to drive. And the earlier you start to do it, the better, especially when you're of age to, actually hold a job in the United States of America. And let me see here. So some references that I used in regards to this conversation was National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. I used a graph from Triplet Santos Rosenblum American Driving Survey, based in Washington, D.C., the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety. I also used accident analysis and prevention from Lee G. Braver, Frugality versus Excessive Crash Involvement as Deterrence. As well as, my last source was this article from the Baltimore Sun from 2008. And that was actually calling for a higher driving age. So I do hope you enjoyed my presentation. As you can see, there's a lot of statistics supporting raising it, but I think it's really just because, at any age, new drivers are going to have accidents driving. The only way to do it is to learn to do it. And I appreciate you listening to my topic. Thank you.